because they got it blocked off on Tuesday where they have to take the Shadow Valley gate.
Hey, Mr. Hall.
Hello there, everybody.
Hello. How are you doing, Chef?
Hello, Chef.
Hello, everybody. Okay. Okay, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Having a good week?
Yes. Yes.
We're making it.
Everybody picked up some carrots?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Chef.
Good. All right. So here's what I thought we would do. Here's what I thought we would do this evening. I'm just going to cut the carrots. We have 5 new cuts to learn. And so this is if you recall, I'm doing this in 2-week blocks. So the first week is more kind of slow things down and break down each cut. Does that make sense? So I'm going to do a little bit of the cut, and then I want you to do a little bit of the cut. So Evelyn, they only had one carrot. They only had 1 carrot for you. Is that for real? They got a whole case of carrots. There might have been only 1 carrot left on the cart. That's all right. We've got 5 cuts. You should have picked up 4 carrots. That's what was on the list. Did everybody else get 4 carrots, or did you just get 1 or 2 or 3?
I got 4.
4. Kelsey, good. Kelsey got 4. Everybody has 4. Okay. Evelyn, don't worry about running to the store right now. There's still plenty of time. We'll do all this together, and those that are able to, you'll be able to do some of these cuts, maybe, but you'll all be able to do these after. Guidance got 3.
My carrot's kind of spongy.
And one's a little bit spongy.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Okay.
It's not one you probably want to chew on, just raw carrot, but that's going to be okay for, soup, for stock, like that. All right, let me move my camera and let's talk about these. Before I do, first of all, let's review just a little bit. Good pinch, grip. When you hold the knife, you've got to touch the blade, right? That is, here, we're going to do that. You need to touch the blade, because the work that we're going to start to do now, the work we're going to do right now, knowing exactly where the blade is going to be very important. Now we're going to get into specific angles. And I'm going to talk a lot about 90-degree angles and 45-degree angles. And so the angle of the knife against the cutting board, from here out, you need to always think of the knife and the cutting board making an L. So it needs to be knife and cutting board need to always be 90 degrees on each other. So that even the slightest little bit, if you angle the knife just a little bit, there's going to be flares and tapers, and I call those wedgies, and nobody likes wedgies, do they?
No.
If you do, you're a weirdo, and keep that to yourself. That's private business for just yourself, but nobody likes those wedgies, and so we don't like them in food either. There's going to be one of the cuts we do this evening. The flare or a taper is going to be intentional. But if it's not intentional, we want to always have the knife exactly straight up and down, making an L against the cutting board. Okay. That's job number one. Number two is going to be how I stand against the cutting board. And so you'll be able to maybe see my fat belly as I approach the board. Here we go. If I stand all the way against the board, me and the cutting board are 90 degrees off of each other, make like a T. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Then if I stand with my shoulders relaxed, this isn't the Army. You know, we're not sucking in and sticking our chest out and everything and puffed up. Just stand comfortably, your shoulders relaxed. You're going to let your shoulders drop just a little bit. And when you do, and just naturally drop your hands, drop your arms down onto the cutting board, naturally your hands, when you pick up your knife then naturally falls at about a 45-degree angle. 45 degrees is halfway. If this is 90, half of that is 45 degrees, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Up or something. If that makes sense, then that's 90% of the battle for these 5 new cuts. Okay. First cut number 1. I've already peeled the carrots. So let's take just a second. I would like you to take, if you have 3 carrots, if you have 4 carrots, if you have 1 carrot, let's take about a minute and a half, and everybody peel your carrots. Get your vegetable peeler out and peel away. All those peelings. Oh, excuse me. I'm allergic to them, I guess. All those peelings, if any of y'all garden,
I do.
Save those peelings for your compost.
Yes. Just 1 carrot, Chef?
Peel them all.
Okay.
Hey, Alex, hold that peeler up to your camera. Good. All right. Right on. I like that. Now, Kelsey, you need to be one doing the work. You're the culinary student. You need to be one doing the peeling.
Yes, Chef. Just like that. That's what you do now. But you can say it. Not at home. Yeah, it is. Okay. You know what to do? like this on that carrot. Look.
Okay, we'll wait just about another 30 seconds or so. We'll let Kelsey catch up. How many of y'all, when you picked up your carrots, also got a little, so I don't remember, this time was either a little heavy cream and some butter, maybe a little chipotle, or, hold on, Tara, keep that holding up. Blow that up.
It's supposed to be red curry paste.
Oh, okay, all right. Is that what everybody got?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to explain what that is, what that's going to be for. And if you want to make it, fine. If you don't want to make it, well, that's fine.
I do. I definitely do.
All right.
I got a question, Chef, before we move on.
Jay, was that you? Sounded like you.
Yes. Are we going to be using these for this?
I don't see what these are since I've got the, hold on just a minute.
It's the.
Let me come through and find you. There you are. What's the these? So, yeah, if you have those, that's going to be helpful in a couple of weeks. That's going to be helpful, but we're going to start. Do we absolutely have to have those for this class? No. If
I think
those, they're helpful.
It was like $30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that what we got in the bookstore? I think I got the same thing. That little kid, y'all.
It's like $33 or $30, something like that.
I got the same thing.
Came from the bookstore.
Yes.
It will be very helpful. If you didn't get it, that's fine. If you did get it, that's fine. We'll refer to it, but I mean, to say we use it, the short answer is maybe. That's for you when you're practicing the cuts at home. Most of those cuts, Jay, if you pull that back out, you don't need to, but those of you that got those little models, it's 3D model of these classical cuts. Look at those. So just keep holding that up. If y'all might be able to see my cursor. There's some little bitty cuts. That fine julienne and that fine brunoise, those cuts are down to a 1/16 of an inch. That's good. That's fine. And starting next week, we're going to do those. That's fine. We're going to do those stick cuts. You're going to learn a pont neuf, a bâton, a bâtonnet, a julienne, and a fine julienne. And then 2 weeks later, we're going to turn those sticks into a large dice, a medium dice, a small dice, brunoise, and a fine brunoise. And that is cutting down to little teeny tiny 1/16 of an inch square. That's the direction we're headed in this class. Tonight begins kind of our real introduction into precision cutting. Evelyn asked a good question. Can your knife be wet when you sharpen it? And the short answer is yes. If you're using your hone, you probably want to keep that and your knife dry, because if it's around too much wet, even stainless steel will start to ping and rust eventually. Because remember when we talked about what steel is made of? The primary ingredient of steel is iron, and that. But if you're using wet stones to really sharpen, that needs oil or that needs water, and so your knives definitely are wet. Then after sharpened, you want to wash them, clean your knives really good, and then dry them off good. Evelyn, I think you can nanny boo-boo to the rest of the class, unless all the rest of you got to try and eclair whenever you went to the school and got your carrots and paste and stuff like that. Did everybody else get an eclair?
Yesterday.
Yesterday? They had eclairs yesterday? She did get one. I didn't get one either. So I'm disappointed.
I made them last Friday and baked one.
Okay, well, you probably got to take some home. Yes, Kelsey?
Is 3 carrots enough?
Yeah, that's probably going to be enough.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, the first cut. Remember, we got 5 cuts. First cut of the night is called a rondelle. E-E-L-L-E. Rondelle. I'll type it in here in the chat. So rondelle is French for round. This is just a round cut. But this round cut, like a coin, it's easy, but it's deceptive. Okay? Remember how I said you've got to make sure. I'm going to try to put my knife directly under the camera. Okay. This is very, very important. If I'm standing right over my knife, okay, my eyes are directly over this area right here. And if they're directly over this part of my knife, if all I see is the spine, then I should be 90 degrees against my cutting board. But if I see a little bit of the knife face, either on the inside or the outside, then I'm angled. I'm holding the knife at an angle. And even if that angle is very, very slight, you see just a move of my index finger changes the angle of the knife. Can you tell that?
Yes.
Just want to make sure that you see in your camera what I'm seeing kind of in mine. If I just move my thumb a little bit, I move the knife out. If I move my index finger a little bit, then I move the knife in. I need my pinch to be exactly parallel with each other so that the knife is perfectly straight up and down against the cutting board. If it's not, then I won't be cutting exactly perfect parallel sides to my coin or my round, my rondelle. And I'm going to end with little flares and tapers that are going to go all kinds of different directions. The next thing I want to have happen is the carrot or whatever ingredient I'm cutting needs to be exactly 90 degrees from my knife. That needs to make a perfect T. Not with my knife at this angle, or needs to be a nice, perfect 90-degree T. Then what we've already learned, good pinch, a good guide. I want my cuts to be, I'm after, when we do this for an exam, I'm going to tell you a specific length. I'm going to get back here where you can kind of see what I'm doing. So my cut is still forward and down. And after I've made the cut, I need to follow through just a little bit. Now notice I've got some carrot, that one cut stuck to my knife. That's good. That's kind of a bonus because the one thing I'm after more than anything else in this class is consistent cuts, consistent sizes, every single cut. And if I've got carrot that's stuck to my knife, that's now the guide for my next cut. Forward and down and follow through. You see how I'm getting the same size?
Yes.
If you can tell that. Okay.
Yes, I can.
So those of you that have 4 carrots, I want you to cut an entire carrot rondelle. Now here's the challenge. After you've done all this stuff that I just told you, 90 degrees against the board, good pinch, good guide, T, 90 degrees against your knife, keeping that same 1/4 inch, this is what I'm after, keeping that same thickness of cut is going to get more and more challenging as the carrot gets thicker and bigger and wider. There's your last challenge.
Okay.
On your mark, get set, go. Kelsey, see if you can move your camera down so that I can see your cutting board and I can a little bit more. There you go. There you go. That's pretty good. Mickey, you're going to need less of a towel underneath your cutting board. It needs to be just one single layer, something so that your board doesn't rock or move around. So I'm going to show y'all. I know y'all are cutting. Here's what I do. Hold on. There you go. I'm going to move this out of the way. Maybe you can see, maybe not. That's just a single damp paper cloth, a little bit damp, doesn't have to be wringing wet. And that's kind of my break. That's the stop so that my board doesn't move around. Wet, that's important. Kelsey, I need you to try to make the cut. Try to make the cut with one fluid motion instead of sawing back and forth. You want to curl your fingers under too. Don't hold the carrot like you're holding it. Or there you go. That's better. Tara, those look good. Those look pretty even. What are the ones on the side? Are those ones you want to discard? They're kind of okay. I see. Just a slight little bit of wedgie. Yep. Caleb's turned his into a design. Very creative. Terry, move your knife forward and down at the same time instead of just down. There you go.
Okay, yeah, that's much better too.
It's going to go through easier. Remember when we talked about the sharp edge of your knife is really under a microscope. It's like a serrated edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's going to be a much more efficient.
Okay. You're right. Thank you.
Yeah, Caleb. The first time we cut, Alex, I'm looking at yours as well. Same thing. You've got a couple of cuts right there on your right hand that are a little thinner than the rest. And that's okay. Good. Good. Good guidance. That looks good from here, from this angle. You got a couple I can tell that are a little thinner. You got one or two that kind of stick out as being a little more thick. Look, y'all, please don't anybody, especially right now when we're doing something new and we're doing something for the first time, or we're doing something that you've done a lot of, but maybe in a different way, a different approach. Don't beat yourself up over all the little inconsistencies. You're going to get there as we do some more and practice some more, because practice makes what?
Perfect.
Wrong.
Perfect practice makes perfect.
Jay remembers, yes. Practice.
That's what I was thinking, but it didn't come out that way.
Practice makes permanent. Whatever it is that we practice is going to become us. And so perfect practice makes perfect. Evelyn, those look pretty good. You're getting them all sized in a certain order. Is that what you're doing, Evelyn? Good. Is that a mark of OCD? Or is that CDO? Do y'all know what CDO is?
Yes.
What's CDO?
The same thing you just said, compulsive disorder.
CDO is OCD in the proper order.
Exactly.
Right. All right. Thank you for getting that. All right. Let's move on. Let's do the next cut. Okay.
Do I put these away?
Yeah, put those away. Put those off to the side. You might, before the night's over, you might want to turn those into soup. You might want to save those for stock. You might want to put those in the freezer. You might just want to eat these and chew on them with ranch dressing. I don't know why. Everybody in the world likes ranch dressing on everything except me. Chef doesn't like ranch on anything at all. Ranch is a mistake. There, I've said my piece. The next cut of our 5 cuts, I'm not actually going to have you do. You're not going to practice this, but this cut is called the bias. And when we cut something, some of you work in the industry, have been in the industry for a minute, and have probably heard this term, to cut things on the bias. Yes. Who's familiar with that term already? I'm going to put it in here. So who said me?
Terry did.
That you. What does it mean to cut on the bias?
Pretty much at an angle.
That's right. Just cut at an angle.
Got a question before you start cutting.
Cut at an angle. So that's not necessarily a cut we're gonna go ahead and practice. We're not gonna waste a whole carrot just cutting it at an angle, cutting on an angle, blah blah. What's the angle? Well, I don't know. If this were a baguette and I'm cutting table bread for dinner service, if I just cut it in kind of thick pieces like those rondelles, but I cut them maybe 2.5 inches or 3 inches thick, that's okay. But if I cut that on an angle, that's a much more impressive presentation in a bread basket. That's the most common, cut the bread on the bias.
Right.
You've grilled and roasted some flank steak. It's common to cut that on the bias against the grain of the meat, but also cut it at an angle. And then that tough meat's very easy to work with. Cut on the bias cut simply means at an angle. So this is the cut that I want us to work on next, though. It's the oblique. Who remembers, have already seen, you may have watched the videos for this week. What's an oblique?
It's kind of like a pyramid shape.
Yeah, sort of. So
sort of, yeah.
Pyramid's gonna be four-sided. You know, it flares out, it's fat on the bottom, and it comes up to a point on four sides. An oblique is two-sided. Think of a bodybuilder, and you look at that V-shaped physique. You know, their torso, the sides, it comes to that V shape. That's because of the development of their oblique muscles. So that V shape, bodybuilder, obliques, okay? This oblique is done, again, proper grip, 90 degrees against my cutting board. I'm gonna make one 45-degree angle. So there's a little bit of a bias cut, okay? Now y'all watch this. So I don't want to confuse anybody, okay? I need to roll the carrot 180 degrees. I'm rolling the carrot from its back to its front or stomach or whatever. Full exactly 180 degrees. And then I'm going to cut the same exact mirror, the 45-degree angle. I've got a little bit of a top, but I've got equal 45-degree angles on either side. Can you see that?
Yes.
Trying to do this at an angle that everybody's going to be able to see. It's exactly the same angle. It's mirrored with a little bitty topper on the top. Now, here's your challenge with this cut. For the whole carrot, exactly the same angles. They all need to mirror each other. And this little topper needs to be exactly the same width for each cut. Then when I blanch this and then saute it in some butter and some garlic and a little shallot and splash in some brown sugar or splash in a little honey and some cinnamon for some glazed carrots, it's going to look very, very impressive if they're all the same and they're all the same little top piece. Okay? One whole carrot. Those of you that have 4 carrots, okay, give me one whole carrot in obliques.
Chef, like this.
Who said that?
Me. Kelsey, chef.
Let me see that again, Kelsey. Well, you got the angle on one side. You've got to have the same angle on both sides.
Okay. Well, I did all 3 like that. So I need to do the rest of them?
Yes, do the rest.
Okay, thank you.
Caleb, that's looking pretty good from what I can tell, the angle that I can see.
Sorry, that's me making all that noise.
Yeah, good. There you go. Good. Yes, Caleb, that's good. Right on. Very good. No, Mickey, you were right the first time. Good. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Not quite there. Okay.
Chef, is this good?
Who was that?
Jay.
Bob, see, you're
I'm
spot on. Well, yes. So work on exactly the. It's like I'm splitting hairs. Yes, the one in your right hand is better. Okay.
Okay.
One on your left hand. And compare the two.
Okay. I had a little butt right here.
Uh-huh. And that's fine if they all look the same way. Make sure, mirrored angles all the way around. Okay. If you have no top to a pointy end, that's okay too. Just make them all the same. That's consistent look.
Will you look at mine?
I'm getting there, coming around there. Tara, I'm on Tara's right now.
Okay.
The two that you have on the cutting board from my angle look like your best.
The carrot's freaking huge.
Yes. Well, there's a reason for
the
that.
The diameter's the size of my palm.
Yes. So y'all listen to this. Since Tara said that, I'm gonna be transparent with everybody, and I'm gonna give you a reason why we're working with carrots these next 2 weeks, and why we're working with the incredible Hulk size carrots, while we're working with carrots that I don't know injected with steroids or something like that. Carrots are firm. Carrots are hard to work with. Carrots require a lot of your effort and work in order to control the knife and control the cuts. 2 weeks from now, we start a whole new level of precision cutting, and we have to have some pretty good control of the knife. And so tonight's going to be a little bit challenging. You're going to practice during the week with carrots that you get from Walmart. And that's going to be easier because they're going to be smaller carrots. And you're going to go to the culinary school again next week and pick up more carrots. And they're going to be this monster jumbo carrots. And you're going to curse my name, and you're going to hate the school, and you're going to class. And then the following week, we're going to learn some new cuts, and you're going to pick up a bunch of potatoes. And I've just done this before. 2 weeks from now, y'all going to say, "Oh, chef, thank you for making me cut all these difficult, incredibly large carrots. I understand now." So yeah, that's what we're doing.
Ew.
This particular cut.
You saw knocking?
A snail?
No, some cowbird.
Oh.
Ew.
So, I don't know what happened there just now.
Hey, Chef, it's Tara.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not going to be able to pick up groceries next week. So is it okay for us when we're submitting our week 7 assignment to use the normal sized carrots, or do we need to find Hulk sized?
No, you can use what you pick up from Kroger or Harps or Walmart or wherever you're getting your carrots.
All right.
Sure, that'll be just fine. What you can't do, since you did mention this, and Tara, you didn't even make this suggestion, but I have had this happen in the past. Let me inform everyone. The quickest, the easiest way to get a 0 on a lab assignment, and that is, you look ahead to next week. You look at this week. And maybe I've asked for an oblique cut in this week's lab. I ask for an oblique cut in next week's lab, and I just want a picture. And so you submit one picture, the same picture for both labs. That may and hopefully has never crossed anybody's mind. If that happens, if I'm in a really, really good mood, I give you credit for one of those, but I give you a 0 for both. If I'm already, if there seems to be a little rash of everybody cheating, then I could end up giving you a 0 for both. Even though you've submitted the cut, when it's the same picture submitted for both, then can you see where that's a problem?
Yes.
I want to see the struggle in the cut this week that you're just being introduced to. And I want to see that little bit of improvement in your submission in next week's cuts. I don't remember what this week's lab is versus next week's lab, what your assignment is that I want you to post. But I know there are several times throughout the semester that I have to do a lab and then the next week's lab and then the same cut in a knife skills test. And you have this one cut 3 weeks in a row. Well, if you give me the same photo evidence, same artifact for all 3 assignments, that's not okay. That doesn't show any progression. That doesn't show any growth. And that's what I'm looking for. Evelyn saw a bug. Evelyn, did you survive? I guess so. You're holding your carrots now. Did you survive the bug? Okay, good. I got a thumbs up. So I guess we're in good shape. Now, I appreciate what Alex is doing right now. You've got your obliques out, and then you're taking the rondelles and just making little dice or practicing good form. That's good motion right there. Good job. Okay, let me come back to Hira, and let's do our next cut. We have 2 more cuts to go. Now look, these last 2 cuts are going to be a little bit, can I say they'll be a little bit complicated. So the first step for both of these cuts, the first cut we're going to do is a Python.
Can you pronounce that again, Chef?
Python. Python.
Python.
So you know the Scrabble game? So if you see in the chat, I just put Python Scrabble tile. Okay. Essentially what you're going to cut, what you're going to make is a little Scrabble tile. This is a garnish cut. It's a classical cut. It's not a cut you're going to see at Applebee's or TGI Fridays or Chili's, but it's going to be used in very high-end applications. Now, I want you to watch me go through this entire process before you do any cutting. That way, you don't come back and say, now, Chef, I didn't see what you did, blah, 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 okay? I'll show you this. We call this squaring off, okay? I want to take this round piece and turn it into a square. So I'll be cutting off an end and cutting off 4 sides to make a square, okay? Very carefully because your carrot rolls around, right?
Yes.
We're going to cut off one thin little slice and lay the carrot down flat on its side, okay? I'm going to repeat that same slice. So now I've cut 2 dimensions. I've cut 2 sides of my square. So here's what I have right now. Can you tell that? Little teardrop kind of thing. If any of you were in the Army and the same rank that I was, here you go. You know what rank this is. What rank was that? Any Army vets?
Sergeant.
Has the little eagle inside. Specialist. Okay. Well, and the second flat end that I cut, I'm going to rotate my carrot another 90 degrees, okay? Now I have this straight edge from my first cut. I'm gonna line up the spine of my knife with that straight edge. And I'm not gonna move, I'm not gonna execute my cut until I know that this, my spine, and that cut edge are exactly parallel. I don't want to cut any angle. Can you see the flare? Can you see the wedgie?
Yes.
Small on this end, fat on this end. Okay. Spine, and I want this straight edge to be exactly parallel. And when I'm there, I execute the cut. One fluid motion. Y'all work on, sometimes it helps to just tighten up your grip just a little bit, got better control, and then one fluid motion instead of sawing your way through the carrot. Now I'm going to rotate one more 90 degrees. I'm going to repeat the same thing. So I'm going to cut, I want to take my spine against this edge, okay? And also, my eyes can see the carrot right back here. I'm standing here, and I can see right down here. And my eyes can visually, I see this edge down, I see this edge against the cutting board, and I can make out where that last cut, that last dimension, the last side of my square, and I can visibly see the square right here. I know I'm wide enough or thin enough. I make sure that my spine and this cut side are exactly parallel again, and then I execute the cut. And there I have, not really, hold on. Hold on. There we go. Somewhat of a square. Now your pie's on. I take my square and I want to cut that square into 1/8 of an inch little tiles. Okay. I can see when I have some carrot that sticks to my knife, I can use that as my guide to ensure the same thickness. See what I've got? Miniature Scrabble tiles. Now, it will be easier for you to cut if you've got longer carrots, especially being jumbo carrots. It'll be easier for you to take your carrot and cut it in half and work with one half of the carrot and then work with the other half of the carrot. And if that ends up giving you two different sizes of squares, that's okay. For now, we'll just keep it that way. So before you start, do you have any particular questions? If not, go ahead and dive in. And if you have a question, holler it out or put it in the chat. I'm going to float around and see how everybody does, see how you do on this deal. Terry, hi. Good. Tara, that's good. You got a good sharp knife. That's important. That's the first job. Now, Alex, before you make this last cut, okay, make sure that line up the spine of your knife with the right underneath your guide hand. Yeah, right under your guide hand, line up the spine of your knife with the cut end that's under your guide hand. Do you see what I'm saying? No, keep it there. Move your guide hand out of the way. There you go. Put your, there, like that. Line up the spine with the cut end, and then put your guide hand down when you're certain you're pretty parallel, then execute the cut. Good. It's good. It's good. You got little flares there, but this is probably the first time you've squared anything off like this. Kelsey, move your camera down so I can see your carrots and your board. Good. There you go. Good, good. You need to have something like a paper towel or something like that underneath your cutting board so it doesn't move around on you. Tara, that's just about perfect. Now, is that the whole carrot?
Nope, solid half of one.
Okay. Caleb, see if you can move your camera up just a little bit. I see the cuts that your finished cuts, and they look good. There you go. There you go. Perfect. Yeah, good. See, whenever you have that piece of carrot that's stuck to your knife, there's your guide for your next cut, and that's how you ensure consistency. I'm after consistency more than the exact size. Now, if I ask you for 1/8 of an inch and you give me something that's 2 inches, obviously that's going the wrong direction, even if it's consistent. But if I've asked for 1/8 of an inch and you give me, 1/4 of an inch or something like that. Yeah, good, good, good. Very good. So Terry, you've got really good, from what I can see, you've got some really good, you squared off your carrot very, very good. You've got really nice squares. Now the next challenge is going to be making each tile, making each cut exactly the same thickness and not having so much variety.
Chef, can you hear me?
Yes. I unmute. I mute everybody. If you stay unmuted, then we all hear background noise and the knife scraping against boards. So yeah, I go back and mute you whenever.
Okay.
Going like this.
Yeah. Now, is there another way to look at it without the other slice that's stuck to the knife obscuring your view?
No, the only other thing to do is to practice it so much that you just get really accustomed to this size and that size. And Terry,
yes,
for real, that will come in time. That takes years really to develop. Think of a construction worker that every single day, that carpenter, the framer, is measuring with a tape measure every single day. And it takes days and weeks and months to get so comfortable with this was 1/4, this was 3/8 of an inch, this is a 1/2 inch, and this is 5/16 of an inch, this 3/16 of an inch. It just takes years of doing and practicing. The piece of carrot that sticks to the knife is kind of, I call it the easiest guide. The next guide, if we were in person at the culinary school, I would point out the cutting boards that we use at the culinary school. Little embossed ruler at the bottom. One side is centimeters and the other side is in inches. And have on the board 1 inch and 1/2 inch marks. It's pretty easy to guide from there.
Right.
But everybody can take a cutting board and a fine tip Sharpie and measure the same thing and write it on the cutting boards that you're using for class. The permanent marker will stay, and you can mark on the board those little 1/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch, 1/2 an inch, 3/4 inch, 1 inch. There is a guide that I put in, you go to course content in Blackboard. I think it's at the very top of course content. There's a folder called resources. That folder, you've seen that? There's
yes.
Most all of our classical cuts. The bottom left-hand corner of that paper to print out is a ruler, is a guide, and it's up to 3 inches.
Okay.
3 inches is going to mean something 2 weeks from tonight.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, it's a couple of options, I guess. Evelyn, that's looking really, really good. Oh, except right up here at the top of your board, you have a teeny tiny square compared to all the other squares. Top, yeah, right there. That's a teeny tiny one. And so if the OCD comes out or the CDO comes out, that's the wrong size to put. I'm just kidding. That's my little ha-ha moment. You're muted, so I can't hear you ha-ha. Jay's already moved on. There it is. Okay, good. Yeah, I can see most of that. Good. Good. All right, people. Now listen. Here comes our last cut. I can see that even more better. Yeah, very good. Very good, Jay. Here comes our last cut. All right. And this one is a little more challenging to understand. But once you practice it a couple of times, it'll come to you. We're going to square off the carrot again. I'm using the big end. Now this squared off carrot, I want to cut into about 1/8 of an inch thick planks. Think of it like sections of wood. You know, you're going to walk the plank on a ship, or this is going to be for laying down hardwood floor or something like that. So let me get through this before y'all start cutting. Okay. So that I make sure that everybody understands. Now, this last cut is called a Lozange, and we're going to call it a diamond. Lozange doesn't necessarily mean diamond, so that doesn't translate to diamond, but the shape of the cut is a diamond. It's a little bit of a stretched out diamond. So think of it like the center of the Arkansas flag. For most of us, that should make pretty good sense of what that is. So I'm going to stand again. Remember, we talked as class began, I'm going to be exactly a T against the cutting board. And I'm going to let my hands, I'm going to let everything fall just naturally. So I have that 45-degree angle, the same angles of our oblique. Down this tip, I'm going to cut at a 45-degree angle right at that tip. Okay. But don't throw this away. Okay. Don't throw this away. I'm going to move this off to the side because what I'm going to explain, now y'all listen to this before you cut. Okay. I'm going to explain how to see or how to get this cut. I'm going to explain it two different ways. Because some of us, I'm one, some of us are right brain people, artistic, creative. You can use your imagination and you can see lines that don't exist. I'm not talking about hallucinating. I talk about, you know, if you can walk into a room that doesn't have anything on the walls, but you can visualize artwork on the walls, the pictures, the paintings, the drapes put a certain way, or you can walk into an empty room and you can see in your imagination, you can see where the couch goes and where the easy chair goes and the coffee table and stuff like that. So for those of you that see in your imagination, in your brain, okay, using your right brain, what I'm going to do is make sure that the spine and my first cut side are exactly parallel. That's challenge number one. Challenge number two, to get that diamond, okay, I want to visualize, I'm going to move this over so maybe you can see. I want to visually see an imaginary line from this point to this point, straight line. From this point to this point, a straight line. And those two lines should perfectly crisscross and make 90-degree angles. And when I see that, then I make the cut. And I'll make another one. And this is too small to do that again. And so I can lay this down and I have from this point to this point, a straight line. From this point to this point, a straight line. I have a diamond. Make sense? If I don't do it, if my cut is not wide enough, well, look at this. I have a straight line and a straight line, but this line and this line are off just a little bit. So it's not 90 degrees. This is not, it's okay. It's good for a first time, but it's not a great Lozange. Now, another way, let me do a couple more here. And then you can start to see Mitsubishi. I can start putting this stuff together for a nice little snowflake. It's part of it. Parquet floor, blah, blah, blah. Now, another way that you can look visually execute this Lozange is make your 45-degree cut, and the height of the plank and the width of your cut need to be the same. So the height of my cut, if I use this piece that I just cut off, lay it now up on its side, that's the height, should equal the width of my cut. Looky there. Two ways to look at it. Height equals width of the cut. Or use your imagination to see an imaginary line and an imaginary line that exactly crisscross, 90-degree angles. Okay. Questions might come up while you're doing this. If they do, unmute your microphone and ask away or type something in the chat. If you got 4 carats, you should have this 1 more carat. I'd like you to do the entire carat in this Lozange. Evelyn, why don't you just, I guess, depending on how badly your carat split, pick just the big fat end where you can still get the carat squared, and then cut out some planks. Even if they're kind of small, that's okay. Caleb, especially your very first cut to square off your carat, you're cutting off quite a bit of carat. Keep going with what you're doing. I'm just wanting to point out later on in the semester, we're also going to start kind of paying attention to food waste, how much we're cutting off of things. So just, I don't know, I thought I would take the moment to mention that. That was an awful lot cut off the first time, but you can still square that just fine. Good, Terry, that's looking good. That's some good square going on. Jay's on the clock. We're laughing near you, not at you. Yeah, Evelyn, that's good. That's good, even with a split carat. Look at that big end, right? The other larger section of carat, right underneath the knife, right there. You got all that you can use too. That's okay. How far down did it split? Oh, it just split on the outside. Yeah, no harm, no foul. You can cut that back. Go again on that other side. Go again on that other side and cut it all the way back. So there you go. You cut out all that split stuff. Yeah, you can use that. Nice. Alex, you've got good planks.
I'm trying to hold in my laugh while I'm on the clock.
I'm sorry. I know you're working. I don't mean to make you laugh while you're
it's
doing
okay.
You signed up for this class. You signed up for my sarcasm. You signed up for all of that. So
I welcome it all. I welcome it all. Usually, like now, we're slow on Thursdays and Fridays. Anytime after Wednesday, we usually be a stale. So, but I try to keep, when we first start the class, I do my 30 minutes and then I do my 15-minute break all together. So at least I get 45 minutes uninterrupted.
That's good, good, good. So Alex, make sure whenever you execute the cut, you're forward and down, and then just a little bit more so that you follow through on the cut and you're able to complete the cut all the way. But other than that, your form, everything looks to be just right. just good. Mickey, at least those last two. Yeah, Mickey, that's looking really good. That last one that you just did is probably your best one, at least from the angle, from what I can see. Very, very good job. Tara, those look good. Oh, looks like you're getting ready to, you're going to put some parquet floor into your kitchen there or dining room. I know, right? Welcome to back to the 1970s. You guys, I mean, I'm telling you, everything that I'm seeing right now, I don't know what it is about this online class versus the in-person classes, but this cut especially, y'all are just about all of you superstars. So I shouldn't say that because now that's going to go to everybody's head. And
never, Chef. We don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, there only needs to be one egotistical and pretentious person in this class, and that's me. So there's a little bit of truth to that. You know, y'all haven't seen my license plate on my car. Kelsey, move your camera down so we can see your. I need to see your cutting board in your hands. Okay, that's better. So listen, I'm gonna share this with everybody. So a couple of you may have heard. I'm going to move my camera to be just me right here. Y'all, I don't want to, y'all keep working. If you're still working or practice, if you're practicing, let me share with you just a couple of things and I'll answer any questions that you might have. But this is what we had to cover tonight. I'll talk about the other ingredients that you picked up here in just a second. But I don't want anyone to be left, especially now as we're getting into some more challenging cuts. And for a few weeks, it's going to get more challenging and more challenging. And I'm going to get a little more, I don't know a different way of putting it than I'll get a little more pushy. I'll get more pushy for more consistency, cleaner cuts, better angles. In a way, my expectation and the feedback that I'm going to give you will certainly feel like I want you to cut like you're a machine. And every single cut, so every Lozange off of an entire carrot looks exactly like all the other Lozange cuts from that same carrot. Or 100 carrots, they will all look exactly the same. So how many of you like or have ever been to Chili's, the restaurant chain Chili's? I see Jay's hand. Some of you are cutting. I'm just going to assume, Terry's thumb, I'm going to assume that everybody's been to a Chili's. And Chili's has a green onion, a little tomato, some green and red bell pepper, bring the little fairy dust that they put as a garnish on top of all the only really great thing about Chili's is their salsa. And I love it. I could drink it. When we go, I ask for the salsa. I ask for an IV bag and a 16 gauge needle. Just stick it right in and pump it in. I need it quick. And there you go. The consistency is right. The sourness is right. The acid is right. The salt is right. It's perfect salsa for me. But when they put the bring on top, the little fairy dust on the food. After I say this, every time y'all go to a restaurant now, you're going to be looking for this. And it's odd sizes and it's odd shapes, and none of the cuts look the same. Not at all. But that's done by a $10 an hour prep cook. The prep cooks at a place like the Waldorf Astoria in New York City, they're going to make $35,000, $40,000 a year to make those same cuts. But they have to make the little 1/16 of an inch cubes, and they need to be perfect cubes, and they're done by hand, and they're done every day. Now, do you want to make $10 an hour? Or do you want to be considered for one of those $40,000 a year jobs to do the same work, to do the same job? The pressure is, in order for that higher dollar, you have to be able to perform, almost like a machine. And so this class is about those knife skills. And I want to push you to get you closer and closer to being able to execute at that level, to do those kind of cuts in that way. And it's really only going to come from one thing. Our time together every Thursday night is like you going to piano lessons. You don't learn to play piano in piano lessons. You go to piano lessons to be shown and to be taught what you need to be practicing for the next week. And you learn to play piano all during the week when you practice. Like we said earlier, practice makes permanent. These cuts that we learn, for the next week, y'all should be blanching and sauteing some carrots for your dinner, and practice the oblique cut. You'll be practicing angles, your knife, how you hold it, how you follow through on a cut, all of those little detail things. Practice these garnish cuts just to make your dinner look a little nicer. You're getting tired of carrots? Well, go to Whole Foods and get some parsnips. Practice these cuts and turn the parsnips into a puree. Mix that with some mashed potatoes. That's just going to make your potatoes a little bit on the sweet side. Really, really nice, but you get to practice these cuts. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. You picked up some other ingredients, a little red curry paste, same paste that we used last week. You picked up some chicken stock. You picked up some cream, and maybe you got another onion. Maybe you got a little more garlic. I don't remember, but you got all these carrots. Okay. If you take, I don't know, about a quarter of an onion, if you take 1 or 2 cloves of garlic, if you take about a cup and a half or 2 cups of carrot. Now, if you use these Lozange cuts and Paisan cuts, maybe some of these trims, that's why I had you peel the carrots first. These thin trims from squaring off your carrots, if you put those in a pan and start boiling them in the chicken stock, when those carrots get really soft, you can mash them with a potato masher. You can put them in a blender and blend it till it's smooth. Put that back in the pan with a little of the curry paste and the heavy cream. A very, very simple curried carrot soup. What do y'all think? If you, Tara got a thumbs up. Evelyn, give me a thumbs up. That's fine. If you like it, Jay, thumbs up. If you want to do something like that, do it. From here, you're gonna get some ingredients, and actually the soup recipe that is in this week's folder, we're actually going to do next week. So you're going to pick up a lot of the same stuff, but instead of curry paste, you're going to get some chipotle, because carrot chipotle, kind of a smoky, little bit spicy soup. It's delicious. Jay, what's up?
I got the email that you sent out for a position. Can you elaborate? Well, not position, but for
Publication.
Submit recipes.
Yes, let me tell you what that's about. Did everybody else get that email? Everybody should have gotten an email. If you didn't, check your student email. And if you didn't get this email, let me know. We may not have your email on record, or we'll make sure you check your student email. So this is a very first, it's not the first time a culinary school or a high school, it's not the first time that a group of students have been involved in coming up with a cookbook, writing a cookbook. This, however, is the first of its kind. We are doing, this will be the first one, very much like a law school. Every law school around the country has a law review, and it's a big bonus. It's a big add onto your resume if you are published in the law review. Depending on jobs that you may look for in the future, there are some places, anything you can do to boost up your resume is great. And so faculty has come up with kind of this idea to copy the law school. And we are beginning an annual recipe review, you might say, or an annual culinary school cookbook. This is open only to you, culinary, pastry, and hospitality majors. This is not open to all the students on campus. You have the opportunity to submit a recipe, but a recipe that comes with a story. You write the story. What we're looking for is something that is personal to you. I kind of use the example of maybe when you were a little boy or a little girl, you can remember standing up on the dining table, on the dining chair, and you stood next to grandma in her kitchen, and together y'all made biscuits for Saturday morning biscuits and gravy. And grandma's special recipe for those biscuits, and that memory of you and grandma cooking together is kind of the story that goes along with the recipe. We're inviting you to submit said recipes and stories, preferably, obviously, things that have been previously unpublished, meaning don't go, well, I want to submit a recipe of something, so I'm going to look up praline pecans on Google, and I'm going to find a recipe from Bon Appetit magazine, and I'm going to submit it because, well, I know you can't copyright a recipe. Well, that's true. You can't copyright a recipe, but that recipe came from Bon Appetit, and that ain't your story. And so, do you understand where we're going? You are not limited to just one submission. You would only appear if you submit 12 recipes and they're all great, great enough to be accepted for publication. We will only choose one of those recipes. So this is not going to be a Caleb Shreve cookbook. You go write your own daggum cookbook. This is not going to be a J. Phillips cookbook. This is going to be a cookbook that features Tara Brown. This is going to be a cookbook that features Terry Williams. Does that make sense? We don't have a specific length. And so, Jay, if you got a bunch of recipes already copied down in a book, okay, good, fine, wonderful. Hey, you even got some artwork in there going on.
I draw a little bit.
Okay. Well, I'm the editor-in-chief, I guess, of this publication. We have 4 other faculty members that make up there are 5 of us that are the editors. And this committee of 5 will, before Thanksgiving, we will have selected kind of the finalists for this cookbook. You don't get any money. Nobody
do desserts.
Money. You don't get any free tuition. You don't get any scholarships. This is completely unfunded. We're searching for a grant right now. I assure you we're going to make sure that it happens. If you are selected, if your recipe goes in, you'll get a free cookbook. But your mommies and daddies and your aunts and uncles and your cousins and your second cousins and your bridge club and your church group and your kitchen friends of the restaurants where you work and your neighbors down the street and your pastor's family and all of those people are going to have to buy the book. We would love to just give it away to everybody. Now, if Walmart or some foundation like that decides to fund this deal and they give us, I don't know, $100,000 or something like that, then we'll give the cookbook away to everybody. And there you go. But it's such a great experience. It's a big feather in your cap. It's a great thing to add to your resume. And many of you will end up as executive chefs somewhere, sometime down the road. And especially as executive chefs, if you're just in a traditional restaurant as an executive chef, you're going to be called on by newspapers, local magazines. You might get hit up by AY Magazine, 501 Life Magazine. They're all local publications, but it's quite an experience to go through the editorial process, revisions, rewrites. You think you're all done, and an editor comes back and says, well, this is a good draft, but you need to change this idea or take these words away, blah, blah, blah. This is also incredibly good from that experience as well. It's very controlled environment. The first time you publish out in the regular publication world, this can be pretty intense. We like to take away a lot of that intensity. And so cooking, doing some of the photography, if your recipe's selected, we'll cook those dishes. You'll cook those dishes. You'll get some help from some pretty experienced chefs and some plate presentation as we set things up for photography, and we'll take pictures, and it's going to be a really nice cookbook. But the opportunity there for you to publish, it's not required. This is something that will take the rest of the academic year. It'll be the goal is to have something ready for print by spring break. So in the publication world, this is a really, really fast, kind of narrow time frame that we're dealing with. But if there are recipes around you that you have a story with, you already have those recipes. And so you have from now until 11:59 p.m. on Halloween. So you've got the month of October to, some recipes may be very special to you and you don't want to give up. Well, don't give those up. Others, you may want to reach out to family. I'm going to submit this. What do you think? Is that okay? We don't want anybody to be offended, blah, blah, blah. So you take the month. Nobody's going to, if you get your name in the hat before anybody else, that doesn't give you any extra privilege. We're not going to look at these. I've got a separate file folder where these are kept in my email. They all come to me. And then we go from there. In the first couple of weeks of November, we'll go through all the recipes. We'll be checking the recipe and the ingredient list. Most of us have been around food enough. I can look at the ingredient list, the ratios, the types of ingredients, and have a pretty good idea of what this dish is. We don't have to go cook all of these to determine what recipes we want to use. Jay, you have another question?
Yes. Does it have to be savory or can it be something you bake?
Anything.
Okay.
Yes. Chocolate, any of you that might be in baking one, for example, Chef Leah, Chocolate Leah, she's one on the editorial staff. She's the lead baking and pastry instructor. So she's there especially to give us the look at, you know, is your fudge a decent fudge, a reasonable fudge, a replicatable fudge? You know, just using that as an example. I like fudge, and I'm going to see chocolate and say, oh, that's a winner. She's going to look at the recipe and say, well, I don't know if those ingredients really go together very well. I'll look at your fudge, and you're making fudge from Velveeta. Come on now, wait a minute, hold the phone. And she's going to say, I don't know, maybe that works. I've done that before. You see what I'm saying? That's why no one person is on this committee to make any decisions. And everything is fair game. Depending on the recipes we get, that will largely determine how we structure the cookbook. Things in certain orders. Are we going to get enough variety to have proteins and vegetables and starches and beverages and breads and pastry, desserts? Depends on what we're going to get. What else?
We also got a post on the board from Miss Renee. I believe that's her name, for a job opportunity.
There are job opportunities that come up. We probably get 2 or 3 a week easily. And so for now, many of those are just going to be forwarded to our mass distribution list. As students, you're going to get an email from the school sometimes once, twice, maybe 3 times a week on a particular job offer somewhere. Most of the time, we are just forwarding on requests from other people. Restaurant over here, the hospital over there, care center over here, wintertime soup kitchen over there, whatever. Employers reach out to the culinary school all the time looking for help. Right now, still COVID and kind of post-COVID, our industry is still hurting. And so we especially want to get the word out to you as quickly as we get posts. Then you can ignore it. None of those go back to the school. They're not contact me or contact Miss Renee and say, hey, I'm interested in this job. Read through the email. We're usually forwarding an email that the school received, and there'll be the contact information, how to apply for this job, the link for more details about that job. But they happen all the time. The next 2 years, you're going to get truckloads of these emails unless we come up with a better system. Right now, our program director, Jan Lewandowski, is trying to come up with a better system than just simply forwarding you 2 or 3 or 4 emails every week. After a while, that's just going to turn into white noise, and it all gets kind of ignored. But there you go. Anything else from anybody? Keep cutting, keep chopping, make some soup. Don't make some soup. Save your onions and carrots, put them in the freezer and save them for turkey and dressing and stuffing and wintertime soups. You know, it's a little warm and humid right now, but fall is right around the corner. It's a little bit early for making a bunch of stock and a bunch of soups, but you can put all this stuff in the freezer and save it till it gets cold and don't waste anything. Check before you scrap all of this and throw it away. Check the lab assignment for this week. I believe it's all photo, snap pictures of the cuts that you need to post.
I believe it's a video of dicing half an onion, video of mincing garlic, and video of chiffonade spinach.
You know why? Oh, yeah. You know why? I'll tell you why. Because this week, we did this practice. There's not actually a lab assignment to post for this week. This week is also your first knife skills test. Okay. I want video. No picture of finished product. I want video for your knife skills test. Follow the directions for those videos. Now, y'all listen. Some of you have emailed back. Some of you have paid attention. Some of you are already there from the get-go. The videos that have been submitted to date, like your Who Am I videos, okay? Go back and check comments if I left comments. Some of you did what I asked you to do, and you uploaded those videos into YouTube or Vimeo or one of those other video hosting sites. And then you followed the directions that I give you in Blackboard for embedding a video. See, here's the deal. If you upload raw video, like you captured video with your phone and you uploaded the video directly from your phone into Blackboard, you take up Blackboard memory space, okay? And the university has very limited Blackboard memory space. And in this class, if you continue to upload raw video, your Blackboard will lock you out. The way we avoid that is embedding video, following those directions. Some of you already know what I'm talking about because you've done it. You go into the YouTube, you process that video in YouTube. Then when you click share, you don't use the YouTube link. Up in the top left-hand corner of the share screen, there's a little round icon and it says embed. When you click on that, you're going to get this big long code, and it's just computer code. And if you copy and then just click copy, select and copy that whole code, you go back into Blackboard, follow those directions. It's like 2 or 3 page PDF document that says how to embed a YouTube video in Blackboard. There's a specific way to do that. When you do that, you send me in your assignment. When you upload the assignment in that way, you send me your video, but the video stays in YouTube. It's housed in YouTube. It takes YouTube's memory, and you have unlimited memory in YouTube. You can upload a single video that is 253 gigabytes. Now, just to give you an idea of how much video takes up, if you go to the movie store and you buy a DVD of a full-length motion picture, that full-length motion picture is anywhere from 4 to 6 gig. And you can upload into YouTube 254 gig of a single file. So, you know, a 3-minute video, a 4-minute video of you dicing an onion is really going to be maybe a couple hundred megabytes, but it's going to stay in YouTube and not take up Blackboard space. And that's how we need to do it. From here out, any of these video submissions, if they're not done in that format, y'all listen to me, if they're not done in that format, I'm going to give you a 0 and send it back. When I give you a 0, always click on that 0 and read the feedback that I give you. And every time it's going to say this wasn't in the right format. When you get things in the right format and are ready to resubmit, let me know, and I'll clear out that 0. You won't be able to submit until I clear it. And then you can submit the proper format. If for no other reason, this aspect of this class is about following directions. If we can't follow the directions that any chef gives us, not a single chef on the planet is going to want to keep us in the kitchen. I hope that doesn't come across too harsh or anything, and that makes sense. If the directions don't make sense or you're having trouble with it, a couple of you have. You've texted me or you've emailed me, and we've been able to work through it. Just know whenever you text me or you email me, I'm not usually, right now, I don't have my phone around me, near me. If I'm in the middle of something, I'll get back to you usually in a couple of hours. I'm not generally right by my phone or my computer, and I'm going to have an email conversation with you. I hope that makes sense. Does that raise any other questions? Good. So the purpose of this first knife skills test is technique. I want to see your diced onion technique, your mincing of your garlic technique, your chiffonade. All three of those incorporate different techniques and methods with your knife. And so that's it. If there's nothing else, y'all are the best class. You're the best online Food One class I have this whole semester. You should pat yourself on the back. The very, very best online Food One class I have this whole semester. Y'all have a blessed night.